What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Okay, I got a quick update. We covered some news articles a while back with nationwide injunctions stopping the Trump administration from firing people. Right? They're just fascinating as hell. Oh, the administration, he can't fire anybody. But the Supreme Court says otherwise. Check this out. Supreme Court clears the way for Trump's plan to downsize the federal workforce. I was cheering when I read that headline. Let's get into it, though. The Supreme Court on Tuesday cleared the way for President Donald Trump's plan to downsize the federal workforce, despite warnings that critical government services will be lost and hundreds of thousands of federal employees will be out of their jobs. Yes, Associated Press, this is the point. This is why we hired Donald Trump to run the government, to downsize the bloat that has become the federal government. Like, once again, the corporate press just never cease to amaze me. Oh, we're warning you. People are going to lose their jobs if you fire them. Thanks. Thanks, corporate press. We didn't realize that. The justices overrode lower court orders that temporarily froze the cuts, which have been led by the Department of Government Efficiency. The court said in an unsigned order that no specific cuts were in front of the justices, only an executive order issued by Trump and an administration directive for agencies to undertake job reductions. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson was the only dissenting vote, accusing her colleagues of demonstrated enthusiasm for greenlighting the president's legally dubious action in an emergency posture. What? Like, yes, legally dubious. What do you mean? Okay, so if you're deranged with Trump and you're only calling this legally dubious, and everybody else on the circuit is like, yes, he most certainly has the authority to do so. You think they're all wrong and not you. You think everybody else in the world is wrong, but you're not. Okay, got it. Jackson warned of the enormous real-world consequences. This executive action promises mass employee terminations, yes, widespread cancellation of federal programs and services, and the dismantling of much of the federal government as Congress has created it. She wrote, "Sorry, that's not true, Miss Jackson. Congress did not create the federal government. The founders created the federal government, as a matter of fact. But Congress, once again, is not in charge of hiring federal employees. Joe Biden went on this mass just hiring spree. He hired, I think the numbers, they were staggering, as a matter of fact. The estimated numbers for the employees that Joe Biden was going to hire through all the legislation, you know, the 87,000 IRS agents and everybody he hired, would have increased the federal government workforce by 40%. Think about that for a second. That's not small, folks. That's almost half. And when we're talking about the federal government that has a workforce of 2.4 million people, of course that is now, but at the time it was 1.5 million people. Yeah, I think Donald Trump has every right to fire as many people as he can. Real world consequences. Yes, that is the point. The High Court action continued a remarkable winning streak for Trump, who the justices have allowed to move forward with significant parts of his plan to remake the federal government. Yes, he's been winning over and over and over again in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court's intervention so far has been on the frequent emergency appeals the Justice Department has filed, objecting to lower court rulings as improperly intruding on the presidential authority. That's right. The Republican president has repeatedly said voters gave him a mandate for the work, and he tapped billionaire and ally Elon Musk to lead the charge through Doge. Musk recently left his role. Tens of thousands of federal workers have been fired, have left their jobs via deferred resignation programs, or have been placed on leave. There is no official figure for the job cuts, but at least 75,000 federal employees took deferred resignation, and thousands of probationary workers have already been let go. In May, U.S. District Judge Susan Ilston found that Trump's administration needs congressional approval to make sizable reductions to the federal workforce. By a 2-to-1 vote, a panel of the U.S. Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals refused to block Ilston's order, finding that downsizing the court could have broader effects, including on the nation's food safety systems and health care for veterans. Ilston's directed numerous federal agencies to halt acting on the president's workforce executive order signed in February and a subsequent memo issued by DOJ and the Office of Personnel Management. Ilston was nominated by former Democratic President Bill Clinton. The labor unions and nonprofit groups that sued over the downsizing offered the justices several examples of what would happen if it were allowed to take effect, including cuts of 40 to 50% at several agencies. Baltimore, Chicago, and San Francisco were among cities that also sued. Yeah, think about that for a second. Get this. Now, I brought this up when I covered that originally. You got the government decides, we need a reduction in force. We can't afford to pay all these employees. So they said, we're going to fire these people. Tells all of his agencies, reduce your size by whatever percent. And then labor unions and cities, nonprofits, sue the government to stop the government from firing its own employees. I think they're kind of butting into somewhere they don't belong, if you ask me. I find that fascinating, though, that is allowed to go through, that they even took that case. Who are these people to tell the federal government that they can't fire people? Like, seriously, it just blew my mind. Baltimore and Chicago and San Francisco were among cities that also sued. Among the agencies affected by the order are the Departments of Agriculture, Energy, Labor, and the Interior, State, the Treasury, and Veterans Affairs. It also applies to the National Science Foundation, Small Business Association, Social Security Administration, and Environmental Protection Agency. The case now continues in Ilston's court. Loving this, folks. So, yay, Donald Trump. He's going to get to fire the people he wanted to fire. Get these people out of there. We need to downsize the federal workforce, folks. We're spending in a deficit, a massive deficit right now. The big, beautiful bill, if it cannot make up the gains in GDP growth, is going to add more deficit onto that. So, yeah, we need some business-friendly legislation. We need cuts in regulations. We need cuts in rules, and we need to allow the private sector to flourish so the government can take in enough taxes to pay for itself, essentially, because currently we're not paying for ourselves. Almost the entirety of the federal government is money spent that we don't have. We're having to print the dollars out of thin air, devaluing those dollars. So, once again, this is a cycle, right? Self-fulfilling prophecy. Essentially, like, you got to keep printing more and more dollars to pay for something, devaluing those dollars. So once again, it's a feedback loop, if you will. You're going to have to continually print more and more and more dollars. But it's fascinating. I just wanted to give you guys this update. I found it lovely. It was a cherry on top for today. I've had a pretty good day, so y'all let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section. Do you think that these people should just be immediately fired and sent home? Screw it. All those 7-point-something million jobs that are available in the United States currently, which was the last reported numbers. Yeah, we might cut that down by a good bit come, the next month or two. So y'all make sure and smash that like button for me. Subscribe if you're new around here. Share this video anywhere and all over the place, all at the same time and everywhere. Might as well. And y'all do me a big favor. Click that join button. Sign up. Become a member. That would be great. I would be super appreciative of that, y'all. I really would. It would be a massive help to me. And I need y'all's help, y'all. I'm trying to compete with thousands and thousands of different channels. So I really appreciate you guys being here. But y'all let me know what y'all think. And y'all try to have a good day. Stay legitical. Peace.